Hey, internet friends, cousins, and scoundrels. Welcome back to the channel. And if you're new here, welcome, welcome, welcome. Pull up a chair, honey, and let's have a chat. And since the algorithm really likes it when you interact with the content, go ahead and give it a like and subscribe since you're here. Now I ain't gonna hold you. Let's get right into this. So I finally listened to one of the stupidest phone calls on YouTube. And boy, I must admit, it was a task to get through, but I made it out on the other side. And I wanted to share my thoughts on the whole coleslaw situation and basically women like her in general, and touch on what causes chicks like this to get their elevators stuck on stupid and their self-esteem levels trapped in the basement. For all intents and purposes, Martell was a successful and attractive man when he was married to Melody. They appeared to have a fairy tale life, complete with disposable income, a beautiful home, luxury cars, and gorgeous kids. That type of status level raises any man's attractiveness by 10, which is how very wealthy, seemingly unattractive men are able to pull gorgeous girlfriends and wives. Now, so far, there's nothing wrong with that scenario. It only becomes a problem when the coupled man decides to step out on his commitment to entertain other options. You see, by nature, people are competitive and comparative. And as women, we are raised to view each other as competition for men, whereas men are raised to compete with other men for resources, to attract women. Now, excluding the women who are lied to and deceived and thereby tricked into a situationship with a married man, the other woman enters the arrangement willingly with her eyes and legs wide open. They have learned about the wife either from the man himself or have common knowledge from informal dealings. And so the other woman places herself into a pseudo competition with the man's significant other. That really only plays out in her mind only because more often than not, the wife has no knowledge of this woman's very existence. You see, the side chick contract is more akin to the music industry's 360 deal. It's quite terrible and only beneficial to the person who drafts the terms of the agreement. And still, these desperados quietly assume the role of understudy to the wife with hopes of renegotiating these terms at a later date. Now, the scientific term for this thought process is called bumping your head, or also known as setting yourself up for the okie doke, as married men rarely file for divorce. Initially, both parties enjoy the thrill the affair provides, and in the cases where the married man has more resources at his disposal, the side chick may get nice tokens and trinkets as gifts for her compliance with the arrangement. Just like with Slaw, word on the curb was that she had a BMW on lease, got treated to weekend getaways, and enjoyed dinners at fancy restaurants. But the Captain Obvious revelation here is that married men who cheat are bona fide liars that possess low character. And as the second fiddle, you will never play lead with a married man, so this is a losing game. Some married men will purposely put the side chick in competition with the wife in order for her to prove that she's better. This ego boost helps the man get more of what he wants because he now has activated the clown gene in the side chick, allowing for her bag of stunts and tricks to spill forth more readily. For example, it is now common knowledge that Martell wanted more, shall we say, lip service from Mel, but he also knew that Mel didn't necessarily like to do that.
So what caused you to stop taking care of your man?
I never sucked your. I ain't never been a sucker. Matter of fact, my boy.
My boy? Oh my gosh, my boy. Stop talking like that.
There's a difference in a change up, and I didn't change up on you.
He then relayed that information over to Coleslaw, who was more than willing to transform herself into a human Gok 3000 in order to one-up his wife. It was these types of manipulative games that allowed Coleslaw to believe that she was on the same level as Mel to begin with. Now, even though this is the oldest trick in the book, this short-bush shouty fell for it hook, line, and sinker anyway. In the beginning, most side chicks are more than happy to hide under the sink and behind refrigerators like cockroaches, only daring to pop out late at night when the coast is clear. But as the arrangement drags on and more time is accumulated, these women get the bold and audacious nerve to make their presence known. They will do things like leave their scent in the man's car by overspraying their perfume, or by calling the man at inappropriate hours of the night that would be noticeable to the wife, to just outright taunting the wife directly. Slaw did all of these things on 24/7 wash, rinse, repeat until she got the full attention of Mel and caused havoc in this woman's household. And Martell, like many a man in this situation, got hella reckless, choosing to bed this woman without protection, setting himself and his wife up for a potential health risk, and Slaw for an unplanned pregnancy. Slaw did confirm that she had been pregnant multiple times for Martell, but decided to keep this last pregnancy as a way to force his hand.
Got him! Got him!
And I also think she believed that this baby would afford her a spot on the platform that catapulted Mel and Martell to fame in the first place. It was crystal clear that she really envied Mel for being on TV, because Slaw believed that she was supposed to live this woman's life. You see, the reason these women almost are always guaranteed to breach the side chick contract is because they ultimately want what the wife has, and that's her lifestyle. The side chick almost always comes to realize that no matter how many times that man says he's going to leave his wife, that end date never approaches. She also knows that he most likely would not choose to leave his wife for her, so she has to upset the home with the hopes that she will inherit the newly vacated position of number one in that man's life, by default, as she would be the only woman left standing when the dust from the relationship explosion clears. She does all this not realizing that low-character men are masterful at tossing women to the side that they never had respect for. You see, these men understand that the side chick is also of low, questionable character as well, because she has decided to cheat with him, disregarding his wife, any children he may have, and the girl code. So basically, he doesn't trust her either and will always have a low opinion of her and her character.
This other woman, was it also something about her? Was that ever a part of it? And
no, she was a peasant.
She was a peasant?
She was a peasant.
She was a peasant. Wow, you really said that?
Yeah.
What does peasantry mean to you?
Low class. Yeah.
But speaking of counseling, there's something that you said in one of your sessions that was like, it was the phrase that was most tweeted and everybody talked about, where you called your mistress a peasant.
I'm married. I have a beautiful wife. I know I've done wrong, but what I'm going to call somebody that I was sent on the side?
That's still a woman.
I know it's still a woman. But we did certain things together, and she knew I was married. I know I stepped out, but she knew I was married too. So she owned up to being a side chick. So if any side chicks out there, if your dude call you any name, run with it, forget it.
Slaw said in that phone call to the blogger that Martell wants to keep tabs on her by keeping her in the house and regulating her movements. Martell does this not because he cares about her, but because he knows that her clam chowder is available to be sampled by all. And this chick is easily swayed by gifts and trinkets. And right now, his financial profile is not what it once was, so he won't be able to easily replace her at the moment. So he really can't afford for her to be lured away by another man who would be in a better financial situation to do so. And that is why, as she says, he controls her movements. In the end, Slaw's plan to destroy this family was successful. Martell and Mel divorced, and the position that Slaw coveted of Mrs. Holt is vacant and available. Sadly for her, 4 years later, Slaw has not been elevated to the likes of even girlfriend status, and Martell has publicly dated and claimed other women since his divorce, but has yet to publicly give her any title other than baby mama. And even then, she gave that title to herself because allegedly, Martell did not want to proceed with the pregnancy in the first place. Since having had the baby and the realization sinking in that she indeed was taken up top by Martell, Slaw has suffered many public and online meltdowns. She's even went back and forth for hours with wives trying to convince them and herself that she was that bitch because she allowed Martell to hunch on her for 5+ years. She would insult Mel, calling her slow because Mel wanted to stay in her marriage and keep her family intact. And Slaw was absolutely livid that Mel just would not give up without a fight. And so now that Mel threw in the towel and has even given Martell his name back, you still find Slaw lurking in the background, looking stupid and proving who the real slow chick always ever was. When you listen to these private recordings of this very public fool, you can get an insight into her clarity about the man she chased for all these years. And yes, I said chased.
I went like over 5 months without talking to her or whatever.
Okay.
And then she called.
Right.
I answered.
When you're hunting down and looking for the whereabouts and the locations of a married man who's not calling or checking for you, you are in fact chasing. But anyway, as I was stating, you can see that she knows that Martell asked her to do things like protect him and his image. And she admitted that he would never do that for her. He has asked her to release revenge pee on his behalf, something that is illegal, setting her up for prison, and even revealing that he doesn't watch his son unless it would benefit him to do so. Slaw is clear that this man does not care about her, and she has expressed her disappointments and frustrations with someone whom I'm sure she believed was a confidant and would not air her out for social media scrutiny. But here we are. It also appears that Slaw doesn't have any close family that she could talk to that would help her and advise her of missteps and provide her with a course correction plan. Nor does it seem like she has any close girlfriends that she can confide in, which is why she keeps on talking to this blogger who is recording their conversations for the internet to feast upon, all while making a bag in the process. It seems a little predatory and slimy, especially if Slaw is not aware of the recordings and is not sharing in that channel's profit as well. Yikes. And like many women in this position, Slaw has really dug in her heels at this point because she has spent a decade of her life on this hamster wheel, and she now has been so publicly played that she feels like she just can't leave because she doesn't want to accept that her thought pocket was not the exception to the rule and was not good enough to make this man see her in a different light. He will never see her in any other way than the woman that ruined his marriage, family, finances, basically his life. And as for Martell, he will never see his part in this outcome. For him, it is Slaw's fault for getting pregnant and keeping the baby, because women can impregnate themselves. It is Mel's fault for making him cheat because it was her responsibility to teach him self-control and self-governance. Oh, and let's not forget, it was the people, of course, that he was hanging with because, as he once said, they were all notorious for cheating on their wives, and so they planted the seed in him to do the same. But none of this will ever just be Martell's fault. The story of Slaw is not unusual or unique because it's a story as old as time itself. What gets me is how so many women, year after year, fall into this toxic cycle, thinking they'll be the exception. Sadly, the odds are slim to none that they'll escape a different fate than those before them. And for Slaw, just like any other woman sitting at a table being fed a load of BS, she won't leave until she's had her fill. Anyway, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Until next time, bet you know now.